Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today we got Randy Couture. I just wanted to jump on here and give a couple shout outs before we get started. I appreciate everyone that takes the time to watch my show. I got some donations, so I wanted to give some people some shout outs and not be, ungrateful. I really appreciate everyone out there that supports the show. Got a lot of good things going on. Staxx, how you doing, pal? I'm doing great, Dave. How are you? I cannot complain, man. Things are looking really good. Paul, thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate it. Pontiac, my friend, Pontiac Pasquale. Thank you, man. Hold on, there's another one. But this is a good interview. You guys are going to like this one. And I have a bunch more on the way. So if you guys don't know, I just interviewed Christine Vieira. She's the BKC Bare Knuckle champion of the world. Like, she holds the title. She will beat the shit out of half of the dudes out there, I suspect. But anyway, I got a bunch of shout outs. I'm going to play a bunch right now, so check it out.
Hey, what's up? Christine Faria, 125-pound bare knuckle champion. I'm chatting with Staxx.
What's up, everybody? This is Randy Couture, and I'm chatting with Staxx.
I'm Miranda Maverick, and I'm chatting with Staxx.
Damn, it keeps going.
Hey, Stitch Duran here. How you guys doing? Listen, I'm chatting here with Staxx. If you guys want to hear stories, I got stories like nobody else. A couple weeks later, he comes back, he has tattoos.
What did you think when he comes back? He's got this massive tattoo on his face. What are your thoughts? So we got a lot of good things on the way. So without any further ado, got Randy Couture. Check it out. Had any situations where people would test you outside of the ring because of who you are? Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Randy Couture. So now when you win a title, What's that feeling like when you're raising your hands up and you got the belt on? What's going through your head?
Well, it's obviously a sense of accomplishment. You set a goal, you set out to solve some problems in both the physical and tactical nature. And when it goes well, it's a great night. You feel elated. That elation can last for a couple of weeks and doesn't just go away overnight. And the accomplishment of those goals, that gives you confidence that you have a model and a way to replicate that, to go do that again.
Yeah. So now what's it like when you lose? How is it like stepping away from the ring once you lose?
That's actually, it gets dark. You hate to have setbacks, but you have to embrace that. You have to recognize that is your opportunity to really dig in, to change course, to figure out what you did wrong, analyze it with your team, with the guys that helped you get there, be honest about it, and then set about fixing those things you made mistakes in. Mistakes happen, even the times you won. I never watched the fights I won. Why? I got the outcome I wanted, but you can bet your butt I watched the ones I lost, because that's where I was going to get better. That's where I was going to be a better athlete. And like I said before, a better human at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, their skill set is pretty, it's at a high level, you know?
Oh, no doubt about it.
Yeah, these are modern day gladiators. I look at them like they're modern day gladiators, basically.
A lot of great fighters out there. The science of athletics has gone a long way. You know, I fought till I was 47. I think you're seeing that trend across the board in athletics, in a lot of sports. Guys fighting well into their 40s now, where that cutoff used to be around 30. Most people thought you were over the hill at 30 if you were especially getting into a combative sport like boxing or wrestling or fighting. I started at 33, almost 34, and they already thought I was an old man and over the hill. That in some ways gave me an advantage. I feel like I was underestimated a lot, overlooked by many, and being the underdog seemed to suit me very, very well. It takes the pressure off. You can just go out and do exactly what you trained to do and not worry about it, any of the rest of that stuff.
Have you ever had any situations where people would test you outside of the ring because of who you are?
No, you get the offhanded comment here or there. Oh, I thought you'd be bigger, or things like that. Most of the time there's alcohol involved. I'm smiling. I got nothing to prove to anybody. I'm a generally gregarious and outgoing person. So you're going to have to really push me to challenge me like that. And that's never happened. Nobody, they see the cauliflower ears, and
usually that's a sign, right? Stay the fuck away from me, man. Since you retired, what was it like retiring? And
well, I think it's always a challenge.
after?
I've been in that transition a couple of times. I walked away from the military, after 6 years. Thankfully, I had a built-in new purpose. I was left the Army to start my college career and wrestle in college and get my degree. So there was no downtime. I didn't have to flounder or wonder what I was going to do next, or who I was when I walked away from that uniform. And that's a struggle for a lot of guys. And same thing when you walk away from athletics after 14 years of being a professional athlete, it becomes a big part of who you are, of your identity. So, making that rational choice and making this, the decision to walk away when I did on my own terms. I had acting and the business stuff, the clothing company, the gym, and all that other stuff was up and functioning. So my purpose and goal was already built in. I knew where I was headed. I didn't struggle. I was very fortunate in that regard. That transition for a lot of athletes is a real struggle. They lose that piece of who they are, and what their purpose is now. And so finding a way to get back, finding a way to get involved in something new that's positive, that isn't self-medicating, that isn't adrenaline seeking, can be a huge thing for a lot of these guys. And that our veterans go through the same issue. That transition, walking away from that uniform, can be a real challenge. As many of them are so excited to get out of that uniform and get out of the service, and they don't forward think about, okay, well, what are you going to do now? Where are you headed? Who are you now? However long you served, that became your identity and your purpose. So that is a real struggle for a lot of our guys.
Yeah, I think getting a plan in place and getting the right steps for what you're going to do moving forward is a big thing to help people,
Yeah, the military does very little. They give you a week of training when you process out. And then obviously we have all heard the horror stories with the VA and getting any kind of services through the VA and the waiting lists and all that stuff is just a nightmare. So we got a lot of work to do there. We've got a lot of things to clean up. I don't want to open a political can of worms, but we have a lot of issues for sure.
So I want to ask you about the referees and the judges.
Yep.
What do you think that their skill set should be? Because I've heard some people tell me they don't even know some of the moves that they're doing on the other opponents. They don't even know what's going on. He's like, I don't even know. Some of the judges have no clue of what they're watching. So
yeah, well, there's been a learning curve for sure with the judging, the referees. John McCarthy's been great. There's a lot of places out there, and John runs a school to try and educate a lot of guys about what they're looking at and how to deal with the pressure of making those decisions in the heat of the moment. And I think he's produced and been involved with raising the level of referee that we've had in our sport. And that learning curve has gone way up because of his school and a lot of the things that he does. And I see a lot of those referees come into the gym because they want to observe training. They want to see the situations, the mindset, and all the things that we're doing in the training environment. That only helps them when they walk out in that cage on fight night to be a better referee. We're seeing more fighters getting, Frank Trigg is judging and refereeing now. Chris Lieben is judging now. And I think that's great. We need more fighters to step up and be willing to assume those roles because they do know what they're looking at. And there has been a huge learning curve with the judges. And I think the judges are the area right now where we need a lot of work. And there needs to be some accountability. Why are people so disenchanted with boxing? Because we get so many of these disparaging decisions. I watched one fight and the judges score that fight a completely different way than how I saw it go down. And we're seeing some of that in MMA now too. And there's no accountability. There's always going to be the human factor. Humans are making those decisions, but there still has to be some transparency and accountability for those judges that are making those calls and putting those scores down on those scorecards. Why don't they show those scores each round so the fighters know exactly where they stand? The crowd knows exactly what's going on and how the judges at least are seeing those. And then that judge has to be accountable for that score he put on that card. At the end of the night, I don't see any accountability or transparency there. They don't have to stand up and account for themselves. Well, where did you come up with this 96 in this fight? Everybody else saw it this way, or the other two judges saw it a different way. Please account for yourself. And I think those, especially when there's world championship fights on the line, those need to be the exceptional judges and the exceptional referees that are controlling a person's career in their hands and those decisions they make in the heat of that moment. And I think when you get it wrong, there has to be some accountability. They have to be demoted. They shouldn't be able to go right back into the next card and judge somebody else's championship fight when they've just messed up a call on this card. And I think that's there has to be. I know we have that in wrestling. There's a ranking system for referees and judges in wrestling and international competition, and only the top ranked guys get to do the Olympics or the World Championship finals because there's so much at stake. And I think a very similar system would be easy to implement in fighting in both boxing and MMA because we have some work that needs to be done there.
Yeah, because sometimes I was talking to Stitch, Jacob Stitch Duran, and he was saying, they see a guy on top, they don't care. They're going to score it like he's winning. The guy on the bottom could be beating the shit out of the dude, and the guy on top's going to win.
Recognizing what you're looking at, who's dictating the fight, the pace of the fight, the technique and the tactics of the fight, who's responding or forcing the other athlete to respond is a huge thing, and who's winning a fight. And that can be disguised when somebody gets taken down. You can be in a bottom position and still be dictating the pace, tactics, and technique that are occurring in that fight. Defense is its own reward. It doesn't account on the scorecards because you have to defend tactics and technique or the fight's over, right? So I think a lot of judges and some of the referees don't understand some of those situations. In my opinion, the refereeing pool has gotten way, way better over the course of the last 10 years, the last decade. The judges, I think there's still some work and some transparency and accountability that needs to be built into that part of the sport in both boxing and MMA.
Yeah. So they don't have to show the card on how they judge?
They don't know.
That's wild. I didn't know that.
Yeah, a lot of times it's not made public, especially if it's controversial at all. Sometimes they will show it after the fact, but I think that score should be put up there each round, so a fighter knows where he's at. Through the
And
course
then
of a fight,
he'll know what he
he
can
can
work
turn it up,
on.
or do
Yeah.
whatever he needs to do to get himself back in a fight, or whatever the case may be. So.
Now, what about the pay for the fighters? How has the pay since you started versus now, what you know, how has the pay for the fighters changed?
Well, certainly the fighter pay has incrementally increased over the years, in the years, the 20 plus years that I've been doing it. But that's another area where I think we have a lot to do, a lot to get done. Again, there's lack of transparency. Promoters in the sport of mixed martial arts don't have to disclose how much money they're making off any one of these events. So how is the fighter supposed to go out and negotiate his fair value in the marketplace if nobody knows how much money was just made on the fight and the card that he was just on? They don't disclose that information. There's no transparency there. These contracts are very restrictive. What's the UFC have? 650 fighters signed to their roster to a very exclusive contract. They're not allowed to go fight anywhere else. They've signed away all their ancillary rights. That's their ability to write a book, be in a video game, do a movie, any of those things that are outside with that image that they supposedly created in that cage. They now have to get Dana White's permission or the company's permission to be able to do any of those things that are ancillary to walking up in that cage and fighting. I think that's wrong. I think that's a mistake. And that's one of the reasons why I'm persona non grata with the UFC to this day, because I fought for those ancillary rights. I shined a light on those nasty contracts. And they don't like me to this day because of it. But I was doing what was best for me in my career. I wanted to hold my career in my hands and make the decisions that I thought were best for me. I didn't want to leave that up to somebody else.
So you had to fight to get out of the contract to go and be in movies and things like that?
The UFC signed, Zuffa bought the company in 2001. They were already taking people's ancillary rights, but not many fighters knew what an ancillary right was or what that was worth. I had good management at that time. And that's a whole nother topic that we could get into, but I had a very good management team at that time, battle management with Jeremy Lappin and Peter Levin. And they educated me on what an ancillary right was and why I should not sign the 17-page contract that Zuffa just put in my face to re-up and continue to be their heavyweight champion, and what those ancillary rights meant. So I held their feet to the fire. They just bought the company. I'm the heavyweight champ. They're kind of stuck with me. I don't think they thought I was very marketable because I was in my 40s in 2001. And they would have loved to have gotten rid of me. Hence, they want me to fight Pedro Rizzo in my very first fight with them at the helm. They just signed him to a 9-fight deal. Here's this nice, big, strong, young Brazilian cat that they thought was going to bring the Latin American crowd in to the pay-per-views and to their brand. And they were sure he was going to beat me. And then they'd be done with me. They didn't have to worry about my 42-year-old butt anymore being their heavyweight champion. It didn't go that way. And my entire career was kind of under that same guise, that same situation almost from the start because of my age. But at the end of the day, I did what I had to do, and I beat Pedro. They forced me into an automatic rematch with Pedro in that next fight, and I beat him again. So that was kind of the end of that story. But I found myself in that situation a lot. Fighting Chuck the first time for the interim championship, fighting Tito. Just time and time again, I think they were pretty sure I was going to get my butt whooped and get beat, and I managed to come through.
Shout out to Chuck Liddell, great guy.
Yeah, Chuck's a great guy. How
was it to transition into acting? What was it like to be in front of the cameras after being in the ring?
Well, I think being involved in the three of the first 4 seasons of The Ultimate Fighter actually was a big leg up for me. You're wearing a microphone, you forget you're wearing it. You're standing in front of a camera, teaching, doing the things you're already good at, and why you're in that coaching position in the first place. So you know the content, the sport inside and out. So that's an easy thing to do, and you get used to being in front of a camera and being filmed like that. So I think that actually helped me. You forget the camera's there, sometimes to your own detriment.
I hope you guys liked that interview. There's another part to it, and that one will be dropping later in the week. But I have a lot of interviews that are going to be dropping with a lot of different people. I think you guys are going to be surprised to see at some of the people that I have. It's pretty crazy that I even got them to come on the show. Shout out to everyone that takes the time to watch my show. Obviously, they believe in something. But I just try to give you guys the best content I possibly can. William, how are you? Mike, thanks for watching. Soon to be a guest with one and only Bill Staxx. You already know, man. How are you, Mike? What's going on? Irvine, how are you? So you say it's Christine Freya. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. But that interview will be dropping. Most likely part 1 will be dropping tomorrow. Matter of fact, I'll play a clip of the next interview to drop. You guys can see what that's all about. Hold on a second. And if you guys want to see these interviews early, all you got to do is join the membership. I believe the lowest one is $1.99, and you're able to see interviews before anyone else. So if you guys want to see them first, just join the membership. Here, let's check this clip out.
Coming to my house. That's when they fired me, and they said, "You got time?" And I knew what the call was going to be about because I'm getting all these messages of support and this and that. I said, "No, I'll be home in about an hour." And right here where I'm sitting at right now, talking to you, I get a call and from my friends, and his voice is cracking. And the only thing he says is, because of the interview you did about Reebok, the UFC is not going to use you no more.
That will be dropping tomorrow. So Stitch talks about when him and the UFC parted ways, and we're going to get deep into it about Dana White. And I asked him how he feels about Dana White. I asked Randy Couture how he feels about Dana White. So we're going to give you all that information and more on the next show. So what's going on tonight? Dave, how are you, man? Stitch was a great guy. Hell yeah, he is. Randy, how you doing, man? So it was funny when I seen Tyson, when I was with Tyson, I was talking to him about Stitch, and he goes, Stitch. Shout out to Stitch Duran. Today is my first day with no cigarettes, and I'm going crazy, like for real. But I'm going to push through, and I'm going to make it happen. I know it's probably the best thing for me. But I have so many different shows dropping. You guys will be quite surprised. I've been putting in a lot of work trying to get different interviews, and I hope you guys like them. If you guys want to help me out with the toy drive, you can donate through Cash App. It is Chattin with Staxx. And Chattin is without a G. Or you can hit up the PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, Super Sticker, Super Chats, all that good stuff. And we're not looking for no crazy amount of money. We're just trying to get enough to take care of the people that are in the shelter, try to get them get the kids some toys, and maybe get some care packages for a couple people. Stitch is the best cut man for hire. Yeah, he breaks a lot down on the next interview. And he shows me his custom, I don't even know what you call it. The metal thing they put on the cuts. He makes his own, like out of a certain type of metal and all this stuff. But he has, I forgot what they're called. But he has his own brand of is it called a wrap? A compressor. It's like compressor thing, the metal thing that you press on the cuts. So, and he talked about some of the worst bloody cuts he's ever come across. So you don't want to miss that. It's pretty crazy. And the interview with Christine was really good. Shout out to Christine. She is an absolute phenom in her sport. Check out the shout out one more time, and then I'm gonna go.
Hey, what's up? Christine Faria, 125-pound bare knuckle champion. I'm chatting with Staxx.
Faria. I know I got it right. Christine Faria. Go check her out. Well, I appreciate all of you guys taking the time. I hope you guys have a happy holiday. And I'll see you tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock. Don't be late. Some rats are going to get slayed. And if you like this podcast, hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you could get my videos every time they drop. And if you don't like this podcast, too fucking bad.